Queen Mary of Teck introduced an abundance of jewels into the Windsor's treasure trove, which the royal family still actively uses today. Among these are hefty brooches, substantial necklaces, and of course, lavish tiaras. Mary commissioned some of the most significant jewels in the royal family's collection. From the diamond fringe tiara, in which 3 generations of Windsor women walked down the aisle, to the emerald necklace adored by Princess Diana, and the bandeau worn by the Duchess of Sussex on her wedding day. She had an impeccable eye for Russian jewelry and a knack for snatching up aristocratic property sales, which led to the acquisition of the eponymous tiara of Grand Duchess Vladimir and virtually the entire collection of Empress Maria Feodorovna's sapphires. She also received incredible gifts, such as the colossal 158-carat Cullinan III, an ivory diamond brooch, affectionately known at court as Granny's Chips. And Mary held tight to her family's jeweled legacy. When the Cambridge emeralds, won by her grandmother Princess Augusta in a charity lottery, ended up in the hands of her brother's mistress, the Queen intervened and reclaimed them. Otherwise, many precious pieces would be missing from the Windsor's treasure trove. However, there were also jewels that were sold, dismantled, or vanished for other reasons. Let's begin with the magnificent Surrey fringe tiara of Queen Mary. When Princess May of Teck married the Duke of York, the future King George V, in 1893, she received an impressive array of jewelry from various parts of the United Kingdom and the British Empire, among which was this striking fringe tiara with a diamond border, a gift from the county of Surrey. It was nearly identical to a diamond fringe necklace given to her as a wedding gift by Queen Victoria. Describing the Duke of York's and Princess May of Teck's wedding in 1893, Queen Victoria wrote that the bride wore her gift during the ceremony. In photographs taken after the ceremony, the princess can be seen wearing the diamond border as a tiara, but it is unclear whether Queen Victoria confused these two pieces. In 1901, the then Duchess of Cornwall and York wore the Surrey diamond fringe tiara and her 11-row pearl necklace at an official reception in Ottawa during a tour of Canada, where a series of official portraits were taken. The then Princess of Wales wore the Surrey fringe as a necklace with her Boucheron loop tiara, which I will discuss later, and the Love Trophy collar for a series of official portraits in 1905. And this was the last time this piece of jewelry was publicly photographed. A few years after the ascension of King George V and Queen Mary in 1910, the Surrey fringe tiara was dismantled, and some of its diamonds were used to create the Gloucester honeysuckle tiara, while others were used to top the Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara instead of pearls. Another example is the Collingwood tiara. Mary received many tiaras in her extensive collection of wedding gifts, but the one she chose to wear for her wedding demonstrated a deep understanding of the royal world. Among the flowers in her hair was hidden the Collingwood fringe tiara, a transformable necklace/tiara given to her as a wedding gift by her new husband's grandmother, Queen Victoria. Although she undoubtedly pleased her new mother-in-law by wearing the tiara on her wedding day, it did not seem to be one of her favorites. She was photographed in the necklace version of the tiara, pairing it with items from the Teck turquoise parure, but there are no major portraits of Mary wearing this piece in tiara form. And in 1919, she decided to completely sacrifice the Collingwood fringe, gathering the diamonds for reuse in her new modern fringe tiara. Moving on to the tiara I mentioned earlier, namely Queen Mary's Boucheron loop tiara. This tiara was commissioned by Mary from Boucheron in 1902, using diamonds given to her by the De Beers Company the previous year. About 10 years later, she dismantled it and used the diamonds to make the Delhi Durbar tiara. Regarding the amethyst tiara, instead of commissioning this piece specifically, May bought these amethysts at a charity auction. She was photographed wearing the tiara at least twice before seemingly passing it on to her daughter-in-law, Queen Elizabeth. Unlike her mother-in-law, the Queen Mother was never photographed wearing the tiara. It is presumed that when she offered to include it in the royal collection for her own daughter Elizabeth II, the Queen declined. Instead, the tiara was put up for auction, leaving the family in full possession of it. The matching pieces, including earrings and a brooch, were also sold. Later, the necklace was photographed on Vogue editor Anna Wintour at a gala at the Victoria and Albert Museum in London in 2007. but why they sold this tiara remains a mystery. Please share your thoughts in the comments and I will read them. But while you write, let me tell you about another stunning jewel with an interesting name, the Ladies of England tiara. This pearl and diamond tiara was created by Hunt and Roskell as a wedding gift from a committee of 650 ladies of England. The versatile piece could be worn not only as a tiara, but also as a necklace, a corsage ornament, with the central part worn as a brooch and the remaining parts used as sprays. The Duchess of York began wearing the Ladies of England tiara soon after her wedding, and at some point in the mid-1890s, she appeared in a series of portraits with her 11-row pearl necklace. Around the same time, Princess Mary wore the Ladies of England tiara as a necklace for a portrait with her Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara and the City of London collar, which bears the mark of 1896. The Duchess of York also wore this piece as a corsage and dressed as a court lady of Marguerite de Valois at the famous Devonshire House Ball, held during Queen Victoria's Jubilee celebrations in 1897. A few years later, the then Princess of Wales wore the Ladies of England tiara as a necklace at the coronation of her father-in-law, King Edward VII. Soon after the ascension of King George V and Queen Mary in 1910, the Ladies of England tiara was dismantled, and some of its diamonds were used to create other pieces of jewelry. Another interesting piece of jewelry was the Westminster bandeau tiara, with laurel leaves of Queen Mary. This piece, which could be transformed into a tiara, was a gift from the first Duke of Westminster. The extraordinarily wealthy Duke, one of the richest men in the country, gave the princess a precious necklace for this occasion. At some point, Mary changed the configuration of the necklace, placing it in a setting to be worn as a bandeau-style tiara. As part of the transformation, the large diamonds in the piece were surrounded by geometric frames. Around the time of her husband's accession to the throne in 1910, Mary wore the tiara in 2 portrait sittings. Unfortunately, these photographs are some of the only witnesses to this laurel leaf tiara. It is presumed that if it was not dismantled, it was inherited by the Queen in 1953 and is still in the palace's vaults to this day. I would very much like to see it worn again in the form of a necklace or tiara. Let me tell you about another one, the Cambridge sapphire tiara parure. This tiara, part of a diamond and sapphire parure from the 19th century, passed through Queen Mary's family from her grandmother, Princess Augusta, Duchess of Cambridge, to her aunt, the Grand Duchess of Mecklenburg-Strelitz, and was given by Mary to her daughter-in-law, Princess Marina, Duchess of Kent, as a wedding gift. The Kent family kept the tiara for 2 generations, but it was recently sold by the current Duke and Duchess of Kent. A new tiara was later made for the Kents from the button necklace of the set. Which piece of jewelry did you like the most? Write your comments.